You ready, Emerson?
We're live.
Like 20
Dude.
seconds.
We're live. Okay. I missed that. I just opened Slack. We are live. Can't confirm.
Congrats.
The kids. Geoff, you know this. You have a dog. Reid, you do too. But Geoff, you also have two daughters, as do I here, who are dogs.
Not the same.
They've been having some episodes recently. It's been very emotional. One is
before we get started,
yes.
You had a story about a driver and TaylorMade. And we love TaylorMade, both Geoff and I.
I love TaylorMade. I love this driver. I hit the hell out of the golf ball, okay? I hit the hell out of the golf ball. I'm relatively accurate. Yesterday on the second hole, and Samir can back me up on this, so can Billy, I hit the hell out of the ball in the second hole. I almost drive the green. It's like a 340-yard par four. And all of a sudden, my driver's rattling. There's something inside the head. This is like a maraca. And it's a very difficult process to get through to TaylorMade anyway, try to get your driver fixed. So I had to send a bunch of pictures and videos today, and they'll get back to me within 2 business days. But the guy who fit me for my clubs, guys, Geoff, I know you're really concerned about this. Yeah. He said, hey, they're going to end up taking care of it. Don't worry. Love it. I've never been a better driver in my life.
It's so soft. It's unreal. I played with a rattling sound in my driver for like 3 years and I was fine. So
Geoff, it's a wicked large investment. I just invested like a year ago because I'm putting a lot of stock into my golf game because I'm chasing my dream. That's what I'm doing. Playing golf more and being better at golf.
On the Hooters tour.
On the Hooters store down in Louisiana. I don't know if it's still around. Guys, Reid T. Fowler, Geoff Ulrich, a Wednesday edition of the Slate. TP on the ones and twos behind the scene. Eamon, what's going on, dude? Producer Eamon, really good to have everybody here today. Right before we had the sweat this morning, guys, huge news. Aaron Rodgers testing positive for COVID-19. He's not going to play this weekend. And if he remains asymptomatic, he could come back, next Saturday, I believe that is, like 10 days.
Yeah.
Sweet T. Fowler, there's been a lot of news coming out about this. He kind of implied that he was vaccinated and then he's not vaccinated. Who should be the most frustrated about this right now?
Well, he should.
Yeah.
But right, like he's responsible for, and look, everyone has the right to do whatever they want, right? That's not the type of show that we're going to do. We can do that show,
that's
we probably can't do it under the DraftKings umbrella. At any rate, like, you know, he has a responsibility to not just himself and to his teammates, but, you know, to he is the engine. I mean, look at the line. The line was a pick 'em, and now it's 7 in the Chiefs' favor. That's how much sportsbooks factor in Aaron Rodgers. I have yet, Geoff and Emerson, to see a line move this much for a singular player to be out. Right. Like, so that's the thing that you have to think that who does this hurt the most? I mean, look at this. Looks like Dogecoin after the pump there, Geoff. But like, it's like he has to be responsible. And obviously fantasy aside, right? Like fantasy aside, you know, every fantasy manager is hurting, right? Devontae Adams should be back tomorrow. At least he can start practicing tomorrow. You should be okay with 2 negative tests and 24 hours apart. But yeah, this is disappointing. I also don't think, though, that Jordan Love, we'll get to in a little bit, is completely off the board.
Yeah, I know, Geoff, you kind of said this morning, you're excited to see what happens with the Packers this weekend. And let's not forget, hey, Blake Bortles is on his way. He's probably in Green Bay already. He was playing golf today when he got the call, left the course.
I mean, you know, warm up that arm, Blake, because you might be going in the second half, pal. I mean, I love this from a couple perspectives. I mean, the Aaron Rodgers stuff I don't love. Like, you know, there's reports he's trying to get his natural path to raise his antibodies and then consider himself vaccinated. I don't know. I mean, like, regardless, you're putting your team at a disadvantage. This whole like trying to get around the truth thing is ridiculous. So not good from that perspective. You know, we'll see what the results of punishment. I don't know. I have no idea. But you know, there could be punishment coming from it. This could be like a longer term thing than we think.
Because again, he kind of implied that he was vaccinated. And just for for like an example here, the Sharks NHL, this Evander Kane, like a couple weeks ago, used a fake vaccination card and he was suspended 21 games by the league.
Yeah. And look, it's, I don't know if Aaron Rodgers was using forged stuff. It's a different situation. Evander Kane's was straight up fraud.
I don't think Rodgers was doing that. It was the fact that he claimed he was immunized, which obviously implies that you were vaccinated.
It's a vague term, unfortunately, and that's probably why he used it. If we're being from a legal sense, which probably will maybe save him in the long run. But again, it's a whole other conversation. Let's talk about this week. The Packers, the Green Bay Rodgerses. The Packers are going to be down Devontae Adams or if they're going to be down Aaron Rodgers, Devontae Adams actually has a good chance of coming back. I'm just excited for Jordan Love because it's not that I'm really excited for him personally, although, hey, it's a young quarterback getting a start. It's that the Green Bay Packers drafted this guy, and this is like a 2-year ago story. They could have gone for it. They could have drafted a wide receiver and gone all in. And, ever since they've drafted him, they've kind of just been like, well, okay, it's gotten brushed under the rug. Well, there's nowhere to hide now, Packers management. Like, this is your dude. This is the guy you spent the draft pick on rather than going for it all. And let's see it. Let's see what you got. So, either way, this is going to be a really interesting outcome. Either if it's a dumpster fire, which I think a lot of people are thinking it could be because we've seen so little of Jordan Love and the Packers have tried to push him so little that you've got to just think this is not going well, this experiment. On the other hand, I mean, if it's good and Aaron Rodgers gets suspended, maybe this is the end of Aaron Rodgers in Green Bay. So I don't know. I mean, it's going to be a really interesting spot. It's a tough spot for Jordan Love because it's a spur of the moment again, but it is, I was going to say it's against the Chiefs, but that's actually a good thing because their defense is horrible. So
yeah, Fowler, he's got 7 pass attempts in the NFL. He has good speed, but he didn't run a whole lot at Utah State. Although he could benefit a little bit with the Packers likely having back Adams, Lazard, and MVS, right? And as Geoff mentioned, that Chief secondary, it's no secret out there. It's Swiss cheese, dude.
Yeah, so you have the next 3 games is Seattle, Minnesota, and the Rams. We know that 2 of those teams bring a hell of a lot of pressure.
Yeah.
Right. Or can, especially with Von Miller now, will be in his 3rd game with the Rams. Oh, dear God. So if who knows what the suspension is, right? That's what I failed to mention earlier, which is a good point, is he deliberately misled, right? Like he knew. He tried because there's reports that he lobbied to get his homeopathic or his whatever his concoction was to get passed by the NFL and the NFLPA. And they all said, no, you are considered unvaccinated. So, and then who knows, right? Who knows what the situation is? What we do know is the NFL loves their quarterbacks, especially their star quarterbacks. So whatever the case may be, we just have to wait and see. But having said that, what this means for fantasy moving forward, what you do like about this situation, really good offensive line, Green Bay, really good offensive line. You have a star player in Devontae Adams. You have a star player in Aaron Jones, AJ Dillon. This is sort of rinse and repeat, guys. We talked kind of like this last week, right? Yeah. Is what are they going to do without all of their guys on the receiving end? It's kind of the same thing. I know Aaron Rodgers moves the needle, but we also didn't like Aaron Rodgers last week going up against the Arizona Cardinals on Thursday night. It's sort of the same thing. Is we have to kind of, jerry rig this team together, but they have good pieces and that defense is playing a lot better. They're getting healthier. And so I'm not too, of course I'm worried because it's Jordan Love and Aaron Rodgers.
Yeah.
But Aaron Jones might be in for a amazing next impressive season.
I'm glad you brought up Aaron Jones. I think that is the one thing on the Packers people just are overlooking. Aaron Jones is having a fantastic game, man. He is a really, really good player. Passing game, rushing in the red zone. And then you add in he doesn't have to do it all because he can get a breather with AJ Dillon.
Dylan's been productive, very productive.
Look, the Packers beat the Cardinals without Aaron Rodgers really doing much, if we're being dead honest. This team is not necessarily dead in the water. Now, obviously, if Jordan Love is can't throw a pass, like Tim Tebow or something, then they have a little bit of a breath, right? I'd say Blake Bortles just on the sideline, pal. But this is a team who, like, their defense has been a bit better than I think people realize too. And they have a really good, I think, like, Matt LaFleur also is another guy. Like, I don't think he gets enough credit. He's a really good coach. I mean, this team is well coached. They execute well on offense in most phases. I don't know if the Chiefs are bad. That's the other thing. Like, this is not a good Kansas City Chiefs team. It's going to be a really interesting game. It would have been a really fun game. Now it's just kind of interesting for other reasons, but yeah.
I considered it like appointment television there for a little while until Aaron Rodgers was out. Saquon Barkley this morning reportedly tested positive, and then it came back that was a false positive. This has been a wild day.
Really, I mean, we haven't gotten to Odell Beckham.
No,
the Raiders. I mean, geez, like, it's just
it's
stopped the last few days, man. Like, just
a terrible situation. Yeah, out in Vegas, and you mentioned OBJ. His dad is going straight like AAU, like dad right now. Like yesterday with the 11-minute video that he posted about showing Baker, like, what was he, not targeting OBJ or missing throws to OBJ? I can't remember specifically what it was, but then you had like, he is, Eamon. He is going straight LeVar Ball. And Browns players like liking that video, and then LeBron tweeting like free OBJ. It was a mess. And I think the Browns have kind of screwed this up a little bit, because you're telling him now to not show up to practice today. You're not, and you didn't trade him like yesterday. Now what are you going to do?
What? Like, I'm just going to, why did the Browns even bring him back? You know, this is who he is. Like, what possible could have changed?
Yeah.
Like, what? And then they don't trade him at the deadline. And then the day after the deadline, they say, don't come together. Like, what?
Yeah, it is
mismanagement of assets that it's just, I can't even solve.
Yeah, I think what Geoff is trying to say so eloquently is that from the get-go, this contract that he signed was astronomically bad, because if something like this happened, you couldn't offload him. No one wants that contract. And he's coming off a bad knee injury that happened in the middle of the season last year, I believe, or around this time, I think. And so, like, that's what you did. That's what you have to take if you're Cleveland, that the experiment didn't really work. And why I think it's different, right? Because this is pre-Stefanski as well. This was like Freddie Kitchens. This was like Hugh Jackson era when they brought in OBJ. So it's like Stefanski is sort of like pseudo college. It's someone else's recruits. Yep. And OBJ doesn't really fit into what this team wants to do, which is run the ball, control the clock, play solid defense. Look, they had a lot of injuries on defense as well, and that side's potentially getting healthier. That's what they want to do, and especially when the weather starts to turn cold, it's running the ball as much as possible. And when you get open like a Jarvis Landry possession ball, and you win these games 20-16, it's not like OBJ. And look, OBJ is a great player. He's a talented player. He has yet to be great. The stats are there, obviously, and he's been a fantasy darling for so long. But I would also argue that he had that one-handed catch right when like Instagram and social media was really pumping.
Dude,
like he got a lot of, and this is like meta.
That's like what he's known for. That's it right there.
He's made some great plays, but he is also someone that comes with a lot of extra stuff that you need a solid system to be put around. And we'll see what happens, because he's like, they haven't cut him. So it's not like he can go to another team.
I just don't know what the Browns are waiting for.
Yeah.
Like you've had, like you said, it's not just one coach that he's failed with. He's failed with two different sets of coaches at the Browns. They reached the AFC championship last year and almost beat the Chiefs without him. Like what is coming of this by keeping him around the team? Oh man, I just such
like I agree.
Player.
If he doesn't want to be in Cleveland anymore, and then the Browns want to move on from him, the fact that they didn't do it at the trade deadline just seems such a massive hiccup. Even if they're late round picks, like get something like in return. And hell, even if they wanted to drive the price up, like if you're Cleveland, like take that video that his dad made, show it to like Sean Payton with the Saints or Belichick or like someone, and be like, see, it's not his fault, you know?
Yeah, especially if you're go ahead, Geoff.
I was shocked when he came back at this. I thought he was for sure. There's no chance Odell Beckham was coming back to start the year. And just him being back. I mean, it's just, and like, the thing is, like, we've just seen more of the same. So like just him being not good out there. I don't even care. It doesn't even matter whose fault it is. If it's Baker's fault, if the organization hates him, if Odell just sucks, it doesn't matter. It's just like, why is he still on Cleveland? Why?
To his credit, like, to his defense in a little bit, Baker has not been a very accurate thrower. Like, he doesn't fit OBJ's style of play at all. And neither does this offense. And so you're trying to force a round pay into a square hole because you have this talented player on the outside. And, it's just, it didn't really work. And if it doesn't work, right, and if you're the Saints or if you're any other team, right, I mean, the Raiders, that kind of like that stuff happened, I think, too close to the deadline. Whose egos are bigger than the players? I'll tell you, it's the coaches and it's the management and the owners of NFL football teams. Their egos are so much bigger than players. And to realize that you failed in this process and that you're paying this guy and he's not delivering, they'd rather have that asset collect dust than to give him to someone else and see him succeed. Mm-hmm. That's why he's not on another team. It's not because that another team couldn't, and they couldn't work something out, which is probably the case, is that the Browns were saying, hey, look how good this guy is. Look at all the stuff he can do. And other teams like the Saints are like, well, how come he hasn't done that on your team? What's wrong? We're not going to pay 80 cents on the dollar. We're going to pay 50 or 40. And teams are like, absolutely not. Right. It's a hodgepodge of things that just didn't work out. And you might see Odell down the road. He might be in a better spot. He needs to go to a team like, not the Chiefs specifically, but that type of organization, the Saints, right? Like, he needs to be like number 2 on that team. It's like Kamara, these guys, and then like OBJ is number 2 or 3.
Yeah. Odell, like he's a talent. Like, I mean, I'm not even bashing the player here. I mean, I think he's a rare talent. I do, but I think Reid is right. Like, there's some, like, he can't be in like a run first like system where the offense isn't built around just chucking him the ball downfield. Because that's kind of what it was with the Giants, right? The Giants weren't a very good team when he was there. It was just Eli would go back to pass. He didn't really have any options. So he just chuck it to Odell 15 times per game. And Odell was good enough that he'd go up and win those balls. He's not getting those chucked balls in Cleveland. There's like timing routes, and him and Baker can't get on the same page. And it's just like, he just doesn't care. He doesn't want to put in the work for that system, it feels like. So I don't even know where a good spot for him would be. Maybe a place like the Chiefs. I don't know, but yeah, I don't know if he'll get another chance to be like the main guy like he was.
He's a sharp route runner. Like, he and Jarvis Landry, like when you watch them run their routes, he's really sharp. Yeah, he needs to fashion his game like Cooper Kupp, right? Like Hunter Renfrow, where these guys get 8 catches, 60 yards, they move the chains. He's not going to be the Calvin Johnsons of the world. He just isn't. Not going to be the AJ Browns, DK Metcalf's, just not built that way. But he's fast. And if you get him on a nickelback, if you get him on a linebacker, good night, because OBJ is winning that 99% of the time. But he needs to operate close to the line of scrimmage, beat the guys off the mark, and then get you 8 yards, right? It's not going to be the 15-yard down the field type of catch for OBJ. If he fashions his game like that, he can go to the Ravens. He can go to the Colts. He can go to a lot of teams that need someone like that. That if they have that player, just maybe as even a decoy or as an actual asset receiver, that will move teams. That will move the needle for teams as opposed to trying to make him a superstar, because he's not.
Speaking of the Colts, tomorrow night, boys.
Look at
Let's go. Thursday night football. You said the word Colts. I mean, I had a few other points I want to make, but I was like, I'm not going to screw up this segue. I'm going to make it super, super smooth, which I have done. So, Reid, thank you for bringing up the Colts, because they do host the Jets tomorrow night. And we have the legend, the legacy of Mike White with the Jets has been born, Geoff Ulrich. More than 400 yards passing last week. I think, was it you this morning, Reid, who said that was like the Jets Super Bowl? Yeah. So you're expecting maybe a little bit of like some disappointment tomorrow night. This is a big spread. So you don't expect these guys to cover it, the Jets?
Oh, man. Yeah, I don't. I really don't. I think there's a lot of polishing what right now with the Jets.
Yeah.
Right? Like a pig and, lipstick.
Yeah, lipstick on a pig, dude.
Winnie grease.
Thank you.
Yeah.
It's like felt pens. But like it's it's an inside joke. Sorry, everybody.
Yeah.
But
no,
like
Jeff's in trouble. That's it.
Yeah. But like with the Colts too, right? It's Carson Wentz. We saw like the nightmare of Carson Wentz, the vintage Carson Wentz at the end of that game last week, where he threw the interception with his left hand to, I don't know, not get a safety, but give him a touchdown. That's what kind of leads you to the Jets side, maybe. But one thing that I will say, though, is that the Jets, if Robert Saleh is the right guy to have in this situation, where if White is the quarterback, it's going to help you win games, he'll sit Zach Wilson down. Like, he'll not play Zach Wilson, and he'll play White because they help him win. Michael Carter is fantastic. Corey Davis, I think, is doubtful, so that definitely hurts. But you have Jamison Crowder, who's another possession receiver. You have Denzel Mims. Geoff, why aren't they using Denzel Mims? This guy is a fantastic talent out of college. You're not using him at all. You have players, and you're getting healthier on defense, right? No. CJ Mosley, some of their Jared Davis, I believe, the linebacker is coming back, and he's healthier. He was healthy, I think, last week. So you have players. So this might be a new Jets team. Maybe we're a little late. Like, if we don't want, if we say that the Jets aren't going to cover, which I am, maybe I'm a little late to the party. This might be a new Jets team, but maybe not against the Colts because they're a strong defense.
Jeff, it was like 2 decades ago that the hit on Drew Bledsoe against the Jets that launched the Patriots into this like 2-decade-long dynasty. Did the Patriots just do that to the Jets? Did Zach Wilson get Tom Brady in his rookie year by Mike White?
I didn't even answer that question,
dude. There's not enough.
Dude, I'm telling you, 1 for 1 here, buddy.
Not enough plants in the ground to make me agree with that take, if you know what I'm saying. But
yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know. So Reid likes you said you like the Jets, correct?
No, it was a pretty terrible way of saying I don't like the Jets, but
okay.
I
liked it.
I don't think they're terrible, but in this spot, no, I like the Colts.
Well, look, it is a big line. I mean, 10.5 points. I mean, the Colts seem to be good at like taking leads, and they don't seem to be good at keeping them, right? One reason is their quarterback. He did mention the Jets. I think it is actually kind of a fair point. Like, Michael Carter's been good, and then you also have their defense getting a little bit healthier. This one, the lines seem about correct. If anything, they're probably giving a little bit too much credit to the Colts. I mean, 10.5 for a team like that, but I think that the Colts have been getting a little bit better on defense as well. And we have to, I mean, the Colts have been playing good teams too, right? Like, they got a little bit unlucky at the end of that Baltimore game. They took the Titans to overtime. It's not like they've been up against bad teams, and they've been taking leads against these teams too. So I kind of expect something similar to play out here, but I also expect that this is probably the spot where the Colts finally not just take the lead, but like hang on to it and like realize that, okay, if we just keep running Jonathan Taylor and our defense like steps up a little bit against this, second string quarterback, the next coming of Tom Brady, according to Emerson, we can win this game pretty easily. So I'm expecting some regression here. Corey Davis being out is a little bit of it's not that big a deal, but it's a little bit of a big deal. He has been their best receiver. So I would probably lean Colts here. I'd much rather get it like under 10, but I don't know if it's going to drop there. I do think that the over under is like bang on at 46. Doesn't really have me leaning either way. I don't know. This is one of those games that feels this game feels very properly priced to me, and I'm not like super into it on one side.
That's when you
other.
stay
Probably
away.
look at the player props.
Yeah,
I think the overs hit in each of the Jets' last 4 games after they started the season with 3 straight unders. Yeah. But the Jets also haven't won on the road this year, and then the Colts are bad at home. They're only 1-3 on their home turf. Jets 2-5 ATS, Colts 5-3 this season. Which player prop then do you like?
That's a good question, actually. I mean, I'd definitely be looking. Jonathan Taylor's player props are massive here, like at 85.5. I mean, that almost feels like a fade just from the perspective of it's so big for a running back. But that's kind of where I would start. I mean, I think that in terms of like QB player props, I mean, fading Mike White here isn't the worst idea either. 255 now in passing yards. Like I've picked on the Colts secondary before, but man, like that is a big total for a guy who's not going to have his number one wide receiver out there. Sure, he looked okay last week, but now we get a short week. a much different, a different opponent here, you know, playing on the road. So I'm kind of looking to fade some of these big players. Again, like I'm not super pumped about this game turning into like a shootout. I think it could be a little bit boring if the Colts get ahead. Yeah, so I'm kind of looking to fade some of these totals too. Like take the under on like Mike White. I'd probably rather take the under on Mike White's passing yardage than Taylor.
I mean, here's the thing: the Colts are not out of the playoff race, despite dropping both of their games to the division-leading Titans, just because of the Tennessee after that terrible news of losing King Henry for the rest of the year. So they're in that AFC South race.
I mean, they're in it, but like they're far back. They're down the tiebreaker, and I mean, they're like 3.5 games.
I'm just saying we don't know what's going to happen to Tennessee moving forward because they run the football like third most times out of all the other teams in the league, and
Adrian Peterson is going to run for like 150 yards next week.
Oh my God! I'm just saying they rely so heavily on their wide receivers. Keep it down back there.
Georgie agrees with me. See.
First off, it wasn't Georgie. All right, get it right. They rely so heavily on the play action because all the defenses focus so much on Henry in the backfield, dude. That's why like you have guys like AJ Brown are having these ridiculous like stretches the past like 3 weeks. You think they're going to be that scared of Adrian Peterson? Wow, my God.
I mean, that guy is a medical marvel when it comes to like he is
medical marvel. I love that.
Like he is like Derrick Henry when he's going to be Adrian Peterson, right? Like Adrian Peterson was Derrick Henry while he was playing. Like Derrick Henry is no one's going to replace him. I will say though, like going back to really quickly the Mike White, he was only 0.0, like I think 0.1 points less than Tom Brady last week in DK fantasy points. So like, and Brady was number one. But like when you talk about Mike White, it's a lot of what he did too was a lot of passes to Carter, Ty Johnson, right? And that's why Carter was an amazing player last week because all he got was receiving. So if you want to go, if you want to go that angle, and I really like taking these rush and receiving yards, Michael Carter's at 89.5 at minus 115. That's steep, but like that's where I would try to go. Nyheim Hines, 28.5. He's not getting much work at minus 115. So that scares me a little bit. Ty Johnson, this one's interesting, right? At over 36.5 at minus 120, because Ty Johnson is still getting, he's still getting incorporated into this offense. So that's the stuff that I would try and do. The problem is that Bobby Okereke and Darius Leonard are some of the better linebackers in the NFL, extremely fast sideline to sideline. And when you got DeForest Buckner there and some of these guys, Kwity Paye that are, playing well, I think Kwity Paye is active. I don't know if he's injured or not, but that's going to affect what a guy like White can do. I think Cincy was just, they slept on the Jets, and that's what happens, right? The Jets play like this is their Super Bowl. They catch the Cincinnati Bengals sleeping, and that's what happens.
I mean, they caught them sleeping. They also got insanely lucky at the end of that game. I mean, the Bengals,
don't get me started.
They just needed to complete a pass. I mean, the game was over basically. So, anyways,
Cincinnati was kind of coming off of its Super Bowl, right? Knocking off division rival the Ravens. So, we hear it all the time. Teams due for a letdown. You guys just spit off a bunch of player props, a bunch of dudes. Is there one of them you are confident in putting in your captain spot when it comes to the showdown? There's a big millie maker on DraftKings tomorrow night. Geoff.
I mean, for me, you got to feel like Jonathan Taylor probably going to be fairly popular. People going with the big favorite, the running back always going to get some work. I think that's one way to look at it. And if you want to be contrarian, you can think about either probably like Michael Pittman in the captain spot, or maybe even Carson Wentz. I do feel like you've probably got to use one of the Colts, but Taylor, that expensive, I feel like people will just flock to him. I mean, the Jets allow a ton of touchdowns to the running back position. He's got 100-yard games now in 3 of his last 5 starts. So he'll probably be the chalk. I think if you're going for, again, like you want sort of, you just want a differentiation. I mean, Michael Pittman, I mean, I know the game flow, it probably doesn't set up, but like the scores can all go to Michael Pittman. He could catch a long touchdown, keep Taylor out of the end zone here. Yep. So that's kind of how I'm looking at it. I really like Michael Pittman as a talent. Again, another player that the Packers could have chosen instead of Jordan Love. Just want to throw that out there, but Yeah, that's kind of how I'm looking for. And Winnie agrees. She's on the Pittman pivot play. So
because she realizes T.Y. Hilton's already been ruled out with a concussion, so he's going to remain entrenched as that number one wide receiver. And the guy had a career best 15 freaking targets last week. Like, I don't know if it gets much better than that.
It doesn't. And this is secondary. Like, Michael Pittman's a big guy. He can absolutely dominate here. So,
and Jonathan Taylor has what? 5 consecutive weeks eclipsing the 20-point barrier. Not bad. Not bad, Ulrich. Go ahead, Fowler.
Well, yeah, that's where you won.
You're going to be paying up for.
Yeah, you won Jonathan Taylor, right? Like, it's they're favored by 10.5 points. Right? Like, that's exactly what you want. They're at home. They're home favorites by double digits. That usually means Jonathan Taylor is going the running back for the home team that's favored by a bunch, right? A la Darrell Henderson, the last two, that one game a couple of weeks ago didn't really pan out. And that's what you have to hope for, right? Is if you want to win these milli makers, you got to hope for the opposite of what everyone thinks is going to happen. Everyone thinks Jonathan Taylor and the Colts are going to smash. I also as well, but doesn't mean that in DFS and Showdown that I'm not going to sort of flip it on its side and think like, okay, what happens if the Jets find lightning in a bottle twice, right? Ooh. And if that's the case, someone like Jamison Crowder at 11-7 is someone to look at, because we know when, especially like close to the line of scrimmage, Jamison Crowder is that guy. 9 targets, 8 receptions, 84 yards. If he gets you a touchdown, he's going to be in a great spot. They're not necessarily liking Mike White a ton, but if these guys are down by 10 going into the fourth quarter, he's going to be passing it a ton, right? So if you stack all Jets and you bring it back with, say, like someone like Pittman, if you can pay up for that, then I don't mind it, right? I don't mind it at all, because we've seen a lot of volume go Jamison Crowder's way when he's healthy. That's the other thing. He's never healthy. So a lot of people are probably going to say, well, he might not finish the game. Well, you got to take some chances. And Jamison Crowder is probably that guy for me.
Yeah, you do. Speaking of never healthy, is Corey Davis? I know he didn't practice yesterday.
Doubtful.
I don't know if he doubtful. That's great. That's even better for that with that pick.
It really is.
It's going to lead him to receive all that leftover workload.
That is probably the jet I would be on here as well. The Colts don't allow. Like, they're not a great secondary, but they don't allow a ton of big plays either, but they will allow a lot of just like short plays underneath, which is really just Crowder and probably where he's going to be working a lot. So yeah, I think that makes sense. You could even just look to use Crowder as your only jet, maybe in the captain or something, and then you can stack all the big Colts. I still think that I think the chances of the Jets pulling a second, crazy win in a row is unlikely, but I do think that you'll see at least like one of like Crowder or Carter probably have a, like 12 catches again. So
don't forget about Elijah Moore, too. I mean, he put this 6'6" and 67 with like 35 or 40% snaps. So, like, if he can do that in 40 or whatever odd snaps, imagine if you get 60, right? Like, if you want to sort of fade everyone else, this guy is an extreme talent. We loved him out of college, goes to the Jets, you're like, womp womp. But, like, he's a good talent. Like, 67 yards. That is pretty good for a guy who's only playing like less than half the snaps.
Also, let's not sleep on former Jaguars great Keelan Cole, $2,400.
That was a catch.
All right. 5 targets, a season high last week.
Solid
squeezing
catch,
some of those. Yeah, dude. He learned that from his playing days with the Jaguars.
Did he?
The Jets this is an interesting show. The Jets have like 5 wide receivers who get like 2 targets per game. Mims, Berrios, our guy Keelan Cole, Jeff Smith, all these guys they get like 2 targets a game, and one of them probably going to find the end zone, and one of these cheap guys probably going to work out because they get it. They end up maybe getting the end zone, or they just get a couple more targets. So I don't think there's going to be like a dominant play down here in terms of just like who we go for a cheap play. I don't know if Reid has a different take than that, but maybe there is just some chalk that I'm missing, but I don't think there is. So interesting from that. If you're looking for value, I mean, I don't really have a hot take on any one of these guys. Keelan Cole would probably be the guy I go to just because I think he's the best out of them, but I don't know.
Well, it's interesting you mentioned Braxton and working out in the same sentence because he is a Peloton guy.
Oh, here we go.
I've talked to him about that multiple times. Anywho, speaking of working out, which
did you talk to Braxton Berrios?
Over the summer we were doing we were doing those like TikTok videos, for DraftKings, and that was an experiment.
Oh,
Like,
I do remember this.
Yeah, remember that? Yeah, little rapid fire picks.
Yeah.
He and I talked for hours after that. Yeah, really connected. Anywho,
Weird flex, but okay.
Yeah, you know what? Sometimes it works.
Variables.
Hey, dude, flex on me for the Sunday slate, Fowler. Is there a spread? Is there a spread on the DK Sportsbook you like on Sunday that you are like most confident in? Like, which one is it?
Yeah, if you're talking spreads, that was like maybe a little garlic hummus, maybe a little tomato. Oh, there we go.
Dude, I had like a 4 cheese Asiago artichoke dip yesterday. I was dipping pretzel bites in it. But go ahead.
I don't know if I'm a huge like multiple cheese dip kind of guy. Like
it worked out really well.
For a game that I like,
wheat cheese down here.
The spreads, I think that this week is weird, man. Like with all the stuff that's going on, like, you got to wait sort of, I think, towards the end of the week to really figure out. You don't have to, maybe want to get in early on some. Geoff was right on the Patriots last week, I believe. I went the other way with the Chargers, pie in my face, because the Patriots do look like not a bad team. I'm not going to call them a good team, but they're not a bad team. So the Patriots, to me right now, at -3.5 on the road, Carolina might be without Sam Darnold. I mean, Christian McCaffrey is limited. Like Patriots, again, I know Steph Gilmore, a little revenge narrative, but he's only a cornerback. Can't really do much other than shut down Jacoby Myers. But like that's one that I do like for a game that I think can go over. And then I'm looking to stack a lot of my DFS lineups. Is this Minnesota-Baltimore game? I think this goes over. I think this is going to be a shootout.
Is it the Patriots still being at -3.5?
Yeah.
It's kind of a condemnation of Sam Darnold here. I mean, like, he's limited, he's questionable, and the line hasn't moved at all. Like, basically, we're saying PJ Walker and Sam Darnold on the same page here.
You saw ghosts against the Patriots last.
Yeah, no, I mean, I'm seeing money by taking the Patriots at 3.5. I do think this is a good team. I think they're underrated. I think Mac Jones just continues to just operate exactly how the Patriots need him to, and their defense just seems to be getting better. They don't have injury issues. I think the Patriots at the end of the year are going to be a tough out in the AFC. We could just be getting there, and Bill Belichick sitting there smiling on the sidelines again. We'll see. That's an interesting story. It could develop even more as we get deeper. But Vikings, Ravens. I don't know. I mean, I feel like if anything, I'd probably just take the points with the Vikings because I don't think either of those teams are super great. They both have some holes, but I expect Minnesota, be able to get some offense, definitely like a backdoor cover at the very least there. So I think I'm interested in the Vikings at that big a number, and I'm not really a big Vikings guy. I usually trying to take the other side of them, but the Ravens are just not a team I have any trust in. If you look at the Ravens under Lamar Jackson, Jim Harbaugh too, they're not a good cover team at home. So definitely don't mind that big number on the Vikings.
I'm looking at the Vikings 3-11 ATS in their last 14 games.
Yeah, they're not great either. That's what I'm saying. Like both these teams are not like you're getting two kind of teams who are just like not that good at covering in some of these spots, and I'd just rather take the one with the points.
Dude, I did the one thing that you said like not to do this past week. Put primetime Kirk Cousins in a lineup, in a fantasy lineup, and you're right, but. To Reid's point, where he's backed up Kirk Cousins, like he's not bad when he's not in prime time. Like when it comes to fantasy points, but
look, Emerson, this. Some people aren't good test takers, right? Like, right? Like when it's prime time, Kirk just he gets a little. He's like, is everyone going to think I'm worth my 84 guaranteed? Like maybe I don't know, something between the years, right? Same thing we have in golf too, and guys like in the major, they. Rory at Augusta just can't get over that hump. There's some things that guys just can't. Lee Westwood. How many times did Lee Westwood come runner-up third place at majors? He just can't close the door, and that's Kirk in prime time, right? But that's why you stay away from the spread. You just play DFS, play guys like Jefferson, play all of your Ravens, because the secondary for Minnesota, they're okay, but they're not great.
Okay, so. Speaking of Roy and golf, once again, Reid leading the segue department. You got about 5 minutes left in show. Who's a golfer you're backing? for this week's Worldwide Technology Championship at Mayakoba. So it's the same course south of the border, right? Same playing format, just a new sponsor. I think Geoff wrote up a little thing about it I was reading earlier, where it's like the sponsor just changes like every year. I don't know. It feels like with this
It
tournament.
does. This has been Mayakoba, the
OHL.
OHL Classic, something else.
But they brought in a lot of money. The purse is massive. I think it's like 12.5 mil. And that's why you have all these guys coming down.
Yeah,
I was gonna say, I think a lot of them were like, all right, I'll make the trip to Mexico. I won't make the trip to like Bermuda the week before or wherever it was.
Yeah.
Whose odds do you like here this week?
I really wanted to back Aaron Wise because he's been great. And I think what you're seeing here, guys, too, is that the books, and especially at DK Sportsbook, obviously, if you can bet at DK Sportsbook, are, I think, factoring in course history a lot more here because you take a look at this board and you're like, why is Aaron Wise plus 3,000? And guys like Fitzy, Zalatoris, Jeff's boy, Russell Henley, well, he never wins, but plus 4,500. Like, it's weird, right? Brooks is 25. What is Aaron Wise doing here? Well, runner up last year. He's played well at these type of courses. I'm actually going into this middle range here. Joaquin Niemann at plus 4,500. I want to get a guy who's played well in sort of these types of situations. And you looked at what he did at TOC, which is not a coastal course, but it can get windy. Kapalua up in Maui, runner-up. And next week, he went down to the Sony Open where you see a lot of leaderboard crossover, and he was runner-up there. He had a chance to win that tournament, just didn't cut it. It was Kevin Na who won that tournament. I think he follows suit with some of his guys that have won this tournament before, like a Victor Hovland, where he gets going, right? This is not necessarily going to be his first win, but I do like Niemann. He's a great striker off the tee. Putting, his approach is a little bit shaky right now, but I like Joaquin Niemann at plus 45.
Yeah, Ulrich, what about you, dude? When I was talking to RotoWire's Lynn Hochberg this morning, he pointed out also Abraham Answer, another guy who's been great here. Course history, as you were referencing, Reid.
Yeah.
And let's see, 2 top 10s among 4 top 25s. Yeah, since 2017.
And second in odds too, right? Plus 1,600.
Yeah. Because it's his 7th appearance here, but it's his first as a PGA Tour winner. So maybe that takes a little bit of the pressure off, right?
Maybe.
Absolutely, it could. I think all things considered, like Answer is a fantastic fit for this course. He's a really consistent DFS play. You should look to him in cash games, but 1,600. When he's the same price as Hovland, when he's smaller in odds than Tony Finau, Brooks Koepka, Scotty Scheffler, it's really not the right time to get on him for an outright bet. He's just not a player who I think that you'll see Answer win again on tour. I just don't know if he's got that high end game where he's going to be like a 3-time winner in a year or anything like that. So I really like Answer as a player, but just not at this price. I'll defend Russell Henley a little bit here. He doesn't win enough, but my God, I mean, the guy is first in proximity. He's first in strokes gain approach. You could not really ask for a better course. This is a course where, the fairways, you hit fairways here. You don't need to worry about length. Russell Henley is right up there in driving accuracy. If he's not like top 10 or something, pretty sure he is. And then you just try and hit it as close as possible because, they're easy to hit greens and you don't have to worry too much about scrambling, where it's just generally where Russell Henley implodes. So he's probably not gonna have to worry about that much this week. And this is a player too, he has a little bit of narrative all added in, called a penalty on himself at this event last year when he's in contention. He missed the cut, but it was kind of like like one of those just, honest moves where I think a lot of players wouldn't have done it. So maybe he's owed a little bit of karma here. I think the main thing is he's plus 4,500. You've got players like Harold Varner III, Taylor Gooch, Aaron Wise. I mean, these guys aren't as consistent as Hanley. They haven't even won as much as Hanley. Hanley's a 3-time winner, and they're like, some of them are like half the odds of him. It's a good price. I'll just throw out a couple other names quickly. I do like Gary Woodland too. He's trending well, plus 6,500 again. Like, he's coming off a top 10. You've got like guys like Tringali at 2,800. I think Woodland is interesting here. He's finished runner up, and then Russell Knox also playing.
Yeah,
very good game for this course. He's plus 10,000. So there's some interesting value here. I like this tournament for betting.
Yeah, Russell Knox. Keep on betting Russell Knox on these coastal courses because he will win one at some point. He's got so close, and he finished T15 or around there, Geoff, last week again. Yep. He's just been peppering these leaderboards. And I'll throw out one more name, a la Geoff Ulrich style.
I was just gonna say, dude, Ulrich.
Well, you got to. It's golf.
Ulriching.
I
understand. It's different.
Card.
I understand.
You think I bet one golfer and just call it a week?
Hey, relax, lighten up. I'm just joshing you, buddy.
Got the felt pen. Hashtag felt pen. He's on it. Joel Dahman plus 10,000. Driving accuracy is going to be a premium. He just won at Corrales. Again, Corrales. This tournament, the Bermuda Puerto Rico Open. That's the type of player that you're going to want to back here.
Event, just
all the same event,
different names.
Yeah, and there's a lot. You can get a lot of guys down here too that are some value.
What about Stenson?
I'm sure we'll put. Yeah, I mean Rose, Justin Rose is like a plus 6,000.
Justin Rose is in this.
I love him. Hey, top 10 at the PGA. Justin Rose. He did some favors for me that week.
There you go.
Especially that final round. Yeah, that's right. I was there. I was there. It was an amazing. That's where I got the shirt.
No, you weren't.
But somebody on the show was and brought me the shirt.
It was
back.
Geoff.
Yeah, it certainly was Geoff. Okay, we have to go. Speaking of that, Geoff has to go get yelled at by his wife now because she does not know that his kids have destroyed their brand new table with the felt pins that Geoff purchased for them. I cannot wait for this. Please do an Instagram live when you announce this to her so we can all watch you be murdered. All right. I'll see you later. I'll see you guys later. We'll be back next Wednesday. Are you guys on the show tomorrow? I'll see you then if you are.
I actually am.
Yeah.
Okay. That doesn't surprise me. You guys are workhorses. TP, Eamon, love you guys. Peace.